Hey, Julien.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
We're filming and recording for an audio podcast that you can watch live on twitch.tv/jujubesgood or twitch.tv/comradeboyar, where you can see all the flubs we make and all the edits that probably won't come. Actually, they will definitely be in the audio podcast because I don't spend any time editing it. But you can totally catch this podcast, Hungover podcast, on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play if you prefer an audio podcast. But you can also check it out later if you missed the Twitch broadcast on YouTube.
Look at that.
Our Hungover Gaming YouTube channel, which we also upload Overwatch videos, and we also upload some sweet Let's Plays that you can check out on Friday. Those are super fun to watch. Yvonne, how you doing? How you doing this week? You doing fine?
You know, I'm a little tired today, apparently. As soon as we started recording, I'm like, I need to yawn a lot.
We did go to sleep at 4 a.m. last night.
That's true.
Because we played a shit ton of Overwatch and made minimal increases in our SR.
Minimal but significant. Julien. Minimal but significant.
We're on our way. You're on your way to plat. I'm on my way to gold. Thank you for carrying me out of gold. Someone's got to do it. Otherwise, I'll probably just fall back to bronze. Let's be honest.
Yeah, well, that's the unfortunate thing. I think duos at this SR is kind of important, or more. If we could get 4 or 5 people who were very good playing with us and could carry us, then we get out for sure. No problem.
Absolutely. Tell us in the comment section below if you play Overwatch around the silver, bronze, not bronze. Please, God, no. I'm kidding, Captain Vidya, if you're in the chat. Tell us in the comment section below if you're in the silver to gold range and would like to play Overwatch with us on PC. That would really help us out if you take the game seriously and want to get out of your ranking to the finer things in life. Clearly, Diamond will be so much better than Platinum, which will be so much better than Gold, which will be so much better than Silver. It just gets better.
Platinum is my grandmaster. That's what I'm settling
That's
for.
what you say until you get into Platinum, Yvonne. Then, and only then, will you want to get to Diamond.
That's true. I've had that dream before on PS4 when on PS4 we're consistent plat players, but on PC not so much. In any case, Julien, other than talking about Overwatch every week, because it's the only game I play.
Hey, yeah. Well, it's still fun. It's still fun, surprisingly. Is it fun?
It's one of those games that I'm not sure if it's any damn fun or not.
But it's addicting.
It is addicting.
That's true. Can't wait to play it later tonight with you. We start our podcast out every single week by asking each other, what did you drink last week and last night, and what media have you been consuming? Vaughn?
Not too much drinking during the week. I finally felt good enough to try out some good old vodka soda, but my very dear girlfriend has a juicer, and we have lots of clementines. So I did a vodka soda with 6 to 8 clementines juiced up as the base layer. Because I was watching something the other day and they drank orange soda. It was Brooklyn Nine-Nine and there was orange soda. And I was like, I want some orange soda. So instead of actually orange soda, I just did clementine juice with soda water.
And, of course, vodka.
Yeah,
which is awesome.
There's some vodka in that bad boy.
And what's up to E-Man in the chat? Thanks for coming by for the podcast. But yeah, that sounds really refreshing, actually.
It was really delicious.
I don't know about you. Has it been warm in Syracuse? Has it been warm the past couple days, 2 days? No. Not Syracuse.
Not too warm, no. It's been warmer than it usually is, which is nice.
70-degree weather for Friday and Saturday in New York City, and that made me really happy. But today it is 40 degrees, and that makes me real sad.
It's 37, and there's a chance of snow twice this upcoming week.
Fantastic. You are going to have a great week. I wish you all the best of luck, and thank God I'm not in Syracuse anymore. Good
Yeah,
job.
Well, lucky you. I do know that it snowed. It snowed in Buffalo, and apparently it snowed in Kansas as well.
It snowed in Kansas, says E-Man. What the fuck is going on with our goddamn climate in America?
Go back and look at our global warming podcast, in which I defended the fact that there is no such thing as global warming, and it's a hoax, and Julien tried to convince me otherwise,
and failed
fairly
because
unsuccessfully.
I do not go to debate school. All right, look. What else have you been doing?
So this week I finally received my card for MoviePass.
Yeah, that's awesome.
MoviePass is like I paid an annual fee basically of like $90,
mm-hmm.
and now I get to basically go to the movies as long as there's a MoviePass accepting theater. I get to go to the movies as many times as I want for free, as long as it's a basic 2D showing.
Which is the superior way to watch movies, I will say time and time again.
Unless you're watching huge robots versus huge monsters, in which case you want that bad boy in IMAX 3D, or just don't see it at all.
Did you even see that movie?
No, I did not see Pacific Rim Uprising, and I don't think I will.
But now you could see it for free, but would it be the superior viewing?
I could see it for free, but it wouldn't be the right viewing. Huge robots versus huge monsters. How do you fuck this up? It's the most basic concept. No, we gotta get story in there with characters. No, just have the fucking things just fight each other. Jesus Christ.
You could film it with action figures, and it would probably be better than that movie.
Anyway, so good. What I did see with my MoviePass this past week was The Death of Stalin.
Okay.
Which is a satirical movie made by the same guy who created Veep.
Veep? With the woman from Seinfeld that I always forget.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Nice, yeah. How was that?
I wasn't a huge fan of it. No, let me talk about this let me put it into perspective.
The perspective.
I was not in a super happy mood going into it.
Okay.
And then we arrived at the mall where this movie was showing.
Yes.
And we were a little behind schedule because we were like, because I went with my girlfriend and we were like, okay, we've got right now to go to see this movie. This is the last time this movie is being screened in Syracuse. Like, oh damn, we gotta go. Because we both really wanted to see it. The trailer looks absolutely hilarious. I recommend watching the trailer.
Okay.
But
it's worth a minute of your time, but not an hour and a half.
The trailer is much better than the actual movie, in my opinion. So we go to the mall. We're walking across. I get to wear my trench coat, and I'm all happy about that, but upset in some other stuff had happened. So I'm not in the best mood. And then we're there, and we're running behind, and we get into. MoviePass works swimmingly. I get my ticket, but I'm trying to get a free ticket for Laura because I've built up enough Regal points to get that free ticket.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm a Diamond member.
Look, you see a lot of movies, all right?
Yeah, I see a lot of movies. See you soon too, E-Man.
Yeah. We'll be here.
So, I get in line behind and to use my card because we can't figure it out at the machine that's canceling out humans. So we go to the box office to get our tickets, and I get behind an old woman, which is fine most of the time. It's like everybody's just trying to get their ticket, trying to go, except for this
Aren't there
woman.
More than one kiosk in that movie?
There are 4 like kiosks, like box office places to go. There are 3 kiosks, electronic kiosks. I can't figure them out. I'm a millennial and I'm still stupid about this stuff. I couldn't figure it out. So fair enough. So I'm stuck behind this woman who then proceeds to go up, and she also is a MoviePass user.
Oh shit. She's legit.
And you might ask, well, Yvonne, how do you know she's a MoviePass user? Because she proceeds to, for the next 5 minutes, have a conversation with the guy behind the counter who has no interest in this conversation. But this old woman has come to the movies by herself, clearly doesn't have that doesn't have people to spend time with, at least at this moment in time, and dearly needs some friends to talk to. So she spends 5 minutes going, so about how many people use MoviePass?
Oh my god.
And the guy's like, well, about 1 in 4. And then and then they're just like talking to each other back and forth, but the guy is like giving short answers because he's like, let's get this transaction over with.
Oh my god.
But this woman is just, she keeps going. So finally she gets through her transaction. We get up to it. I was like, I got this free ticket for Death of Stalin. It's on this card. I've already got my other ticket. I just need this free ticket. And then he's like, okay, cool, got it. Like 30 seconds, I'm gone from that booth. Then we get stuck walking behind this old woman as she goes towards... She doesn't even go straight to the theater.
Jesus
she had
Christ.
preemptively bought her ticket for a later showing and goes down to the food court, taking up my precious time because I'm late for my movie.
Damn it, Scott. And what's up to Divine Hailstorm in the chat? But does she care about anyone else in the goddamn theater trying to get to their movies? Come on, this woman.
Probably she expected people like herself to be prepared and on time rather than
30
showing
minutes
up
ahead of the movie to go see the what is the 20? Is that what they call it before the movie? That's what they did back when I used to go see movies. But
I forget what it is. But
I remember
yeah.
that, but yeah.
So so I'm like in line, I do the thing where I'm like, I get down and crouch down because I'm just like, oh, I need to calm myself in public. And I'm just like, oh my God, I can't believe that this is my real life.
Oh boy.
And if you're only listening to the audio podcast, you can't see the frustration on my face. But I'm showing it in the video, and you can check it out on YouTube or Twitch.
Yeah.
In any case, then we finally go to see the Death of Stalin.
Yes.
It's a pretty decent movie, but I don't think that it really... Okay, it's a very satirical film. It's based on real events, but it's the source material is a comic book that surrounds the death of Stalin and the kind of political intrigue that follows at the highest level of the USSR for people who wanted to succeed Stalin.
Okay.
A lot of good actors: Jeffrey Tambor, Steve Buscemi, a lot of really good British actors. So it's pretty well acted. It's pretty interesting. It's just, it bothers me because a lot of the times it feels like you're just laughing, not because of the things that people are doing or different things, but just because they are Russian or from the USSR, and that bothers me a lot. And this is something that I had a problem with.
The portrayal of Eastern Europeans in American cinema bothers you? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, hard to believe. And it's just like, this movie is being made in a climate which is very anti-Russian.
Yeah.
So, like, I hate feeling bad for being, born in Russia. I don't like feeling that I should feel bad about myself just because I was born in a certain country. And so it bothered me a bit. Laura said she didn't understand that side of things, and she thought it was a very funny and nice film. So what I'm going to say is, don't go see it. But what
Russian.
Laura would say is, it's a fine rented or streamed movie. I don't think it's not. It's definitely not a movie you have to see in theaters. There's not like any really cool shots or anything. It's a well-made comedy, so it doesn't need to be seen in theaters. It feels a lot more like like an episode of television actually than it does a full movie. It's just a really long episode. So yeah, I would say if you want to check it out, it does help to like set the stage for learning about the characters that it's talking about, like the real historical figures. I do recommend that once you see it, you at least go read the wiki, although the wiki is probably bad, about the people that you see in the movie. Because it's intriguing, and there are a lot of shenanigans that happened after the death of Stalin in 1953. So It's a very funny premise that I don't think was executed on well enough for me to enjoy, but people who aren't so close to the material could probably enjoy it more.
Okay. That's pretty cool. All right, well, clearly
Because, for instance, there's a line in the movie, just as an example,
yeah,
where like it's not a comedic line, but it's delivered in like a patronizing way.
Mm-hmm.
So like after Stalin died, a ton of people came to visit him, like to see him and honor him after his death. And there's a line in it that's like it's Stalin's daughter talking to a head of the Politburo,
yeah,
and a minister, and she's like, and nobody forced them to do this, and he's like, oh no, nobody forced them. And then the two girls who were behind me, sitting in this theater, laughed at this line.
Okay.
And it's okay. Stalin is a very problematic figure. He personally had ordered the execution of my family members.
Jesus Christ.
And like other of my family members were sent to like Kazakhstan if they weren't executed. So like I have direct contact with Stalin. But at the same time, he's also one of the few people that could have taken the Soviet Union from where it was and gone through World War II, defeating the Germans and keeping the Soviet Union intact.
Right.
So there is a lot that the Russian people were thankful for Stalin, because they saw his leadership as one of the reasons that fascism was beat down. So there is a lot of like credence to like people did have good feelings towards Stalin, especially in '53, which is very soon after the conclusion of World War II. Not to say that, he didn't imprison a bunch of people, execute other people, etc. Like, he did a lot of bad things. But it's a very conflicted history with the people, especially at that time. So it's a line which is serious. It's not a comedic line, but it's delivered in a way that makes people laugh, which makes people think that everything about Stalin was bad and there's nothing that's redeemable about Stalin. And although I think that he was a traitor to the revolution and seriously undermined the development of the USSR in terms of its political philosophy, he did, save the USSR against fascism. So that's my 2 cents.
Well, we've got a question for Comrade Boyar coming out of the chat. Is Comrade a history teacher?
No, I am not. I'm currently a teacher of nothing, although I do have...
Master of none.
Yeah, degrees in social sciences, and I have a lot of history knowledge and things like that.
You have a passion for history, at least.
Yeah, I have a passion for history and math, and if I was to choose to become a teacher, it would be in one of those subjects. I think the reason I wouldn't be a history teacher is because there are a dime a dozen. Like, everybody becomes a history teacher, so I'd probably go into math. But I do love history and teaching history.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well, I don't know if you did anything else, but I can go into what I did.
That's good. Oh, I also saw Madame Butterfly, the opera.
How was
at
that?
The Syracuse Opera. Production was pretty good.
Nice.
They had some really talented singers.
Yeah.
At least Madame Butterfly, the titular character, was astounding. Although the story is problematic, especially in the Me Too era, she's supposed to be 15 years old when she gets married.
Yeah, that is an Italian thing. Because I think it's written by an Italian. It's an Italian
it's Puccini.
Opera, right? Yeah, it's Puccini, right?
Yeah. So it's an Italian opera. Anyway, and it's part of this. It's part of this set of operas that's based in what they would call the Orient. So it's set in Japan, which is like a mystical Oriental interest. So a lot of operas or different places were set in Japan or Asia.
There's
because
one that
it
was set
this interest
in Vietnam, I think. I can't remember the name.
South Pacific? Just kidding.
It's about a white man that falls in love with a woman in Vietnam and then comes back or something like that. I can't remember. Is this the Met production? I think I asked you this. I probably just forgot. But or is it just it's a traveling production, I'm assuming.
I think this is Syracuse Opera's production.
Oh, it's just Syracuse Opera production. That's really cool.
They
didn't
only
know.
had two days, but I think it is.
Do they have a season of operas there? I don't. I
They
feel like
do.
they do. Really?
Yeah.
That's really cool. Because
This was the season opener.
I feel like there aren't that many people that are willing to go to an opera because of whatever reason. It's just not a popular form of music nowadays.
Or no. This isn't the season opener. This is the last production of
Oh,
the season.
It was the last product. Okay, well, you were close by an entire season.
And they only do 2 showings, apparently.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, I mean, it is obviously a very time-consuming thing to put on a production of an opera. Not to mention you have to put it on a couple times, I guess.
But it was a very simple set. There's like one like Japanese pagoda type thing with the rice paper doors and such.
Someone
that slid
still,
back and forth.
Still have to make that set. It's still difficult, but that's still cool.
And like a stage thing.
Yeah.
It was pretty. It was pretty simple, but it worked well. I think because the focus was on the singing and the acting. Although, as Laura points out, male acting in operas is mostly like. Whereas women have to do like.
I know.
All the.
It is a little. You have to be exaggerated, at least, in an opera. Divine Hailstorm says he would go to one if he could. I'm telling you, that's the problem with operas in America. They're not so easy to access, as Divine Hailstorm can obviously attest to. For me, in New York City, I can go to the Metropolitan Opera. My dad goes there often. I've gone with him many times. It is a spectacular thing. I don't really like opera music too much just to listen to, but there are some really catchy tunes, you know. Ribi Pagliacci. You know that song.
Figaro la, Figaro qua.
Figaro.
That's the Bugs Bunny one.
I know. And what he did the Barber of Seville, right? That's the
that's yeah.
But yeah, so it's really because it's so difficult to put on a large scale showing, which operas are very exaggerated in all their acting, and it's a lavish thing to go see and things like that. There are not many smaller productions that will be put on in smaller cities or towns across America, which is very difficult to do for such a large country.
I see. I find it doesn't matter. I think that the Met does it up like that.
Of course.
If you go see an opera at the Met, it's like astounding the quality of the production.
It's an event. It's an event.
But this was a super simple stage.
Really?
It was
good.
really, really simple. I just think that opera isn't super popular anymore.
Yeah.
And
I think that
people like musicals as opposed to operas, so you'll see more musicals being put on.
I think I guess that's probably true. It's just out of fashion now, and I also think that's partially because it's difficult to go see one.
That's probably true. So it's
not
kind of
mutually,
like the popularity is low, so there's not a lot of them because it costs. Because there are fewer singers, and you need to get the stars to get people to come.
Yeah.
Then it raises the costs, and then you have to keep your costs up. So, like, the Syracuse Opera gets a grant to put on their things, but they have to match every dollar that they get in this grant.
And, for instance, in New York City, obviously there are a lot of private donors that love the opera, and they'll donate a lot of money to keep it going. The Met runs on fumes, I think, because their productions are so expensive. It's crazy.
Lavish, and they put on 3 or 4 at a time.
Yeah,
like in 1 month you can go see 3 or 4 different operas.
Right.
Usually.
My dad always makes it an effort to go see the Ring Cycle, which is one of the longest operas. It's split up into 4 operas, I think. Each one is, I think the shortest one is 5 hours long, or something like that. That is something you just can't. I can't do.
But what's interesting now is that you have more easy access to see opera, not live stage, but you can go like the Fathom events, and you can go to the movie theater.
Yeah. Oh, that's another thing. Speaking of operas, my dad tells me it's harder to get tickets to go see those in theaters than it is to go see the operas because it's cheaper and things like that. So
yeah, even to the Syracuse ones, these tickets, we would have had to pay like $100 or so to go see.
I think I saw the Lion King when it came to Syracuse in the same, I guess, opera or stage theater. Yeah, that's what they call them. But yeah, that was a musical and a very popular Disney product. So whatever. Yeah. So about me, I did quite a few things. I played a new game. I mean, I've been playing Ni no Kuni 2 every now and then, still chipping away at that platinum trophy. Of course, I'm the gamer in the group here. All right, guys. That's how it is. Potato,
I'm just hardcore
Pineapple,
into one
Penguin.
game.
Please give me a shout out. There's your shout out, dude. Welcome to the party. Thank you for stopping by. But anyways, that's an interesting name. Now I'm distracted. What have I done? Besides Ni no Kuni 2, I decided to finally crack and pick up the Project Octopath Traveler demo on the Nintendo Switch. It's free if you have a Nintendo Switch. I suggest you pick it up if you're into JRPGs. I have been super hyped for this game, but now I am 100% sold. This game is going to be amazing. It actually runs on Unreal Engine 4, which I was surprised at. Considering just based off the art style, I didn't think that Unreal Engine 4 could produce graphics like this that look this way, but that's a testament to scalability and breadth of whatever. I don't know much about game development, but typically you see Unreal Engine 4 games are doing high polygon counts, large scale productions, such as I think Assassin's Creed might run on Unreal Engine 4. But yeah, so this game, but when you see the combat in the game, you understand there's a lot of particle effects that you'll see and 3D flashes of light that are really cool and add a lot of really cool things that go on in the combat. I particularly like the combat a lot in the game. It's this really interesting thing where when you attack, you get a charge on your meter, and you build up the charge on your meter, and once you can charge up your attacks essentially based off of how much that meter is charged up, and you can make your attacks more powerful. So you're sort of charging yourself the whole time to unleash a very powerful attack on, say, a boss or something. There are going to be 8 characters in the game, as far as I know. Project Octopath Traveler, that's why. And they can all interact when you choose that character. Oh my god, thanks for the follow, Potato, Pineapple, Penguin, lol. Thank you so much. My name is interesting, but I am an even more interesting person. I believe it. But yeah, so like I'm saying, Project Octopath Traveler, you're going to be able to pick the path that you go on, and you pick each individual character, and they're all going to have a different story. So in the demo, you can choose Oberon or Primrose. Oberon is your standard RPG character. He fucks shit up with his sword and, casts some magic or whatever. And he has an interesting story, or like your standard RPG story. He's a hired sword or whatever. He's a mercenary. He's going on his quest and whatever. And each character can interact with the world in a different way. The interaction in the world is binded to the Y button. So Oberon can, I believe that was his name, can go up to anyone, say, in the village that you're in the first chapter. He can go up to anyone and just challenge them to a fight, and you can just fight anyone. So that was a cool thing. Again, Square Enix is making this game, so they make Final Fantasy and things, and Kingdom Hearts as well. I'm glad that they're going back to a more standard JRPG like this. I was really interested more in Primrose's story. She was it was a more interesting story for me, anyways. Basically, she's an heir to this throne, but when she was young, she actually ended up seeing her father, who was the king at the time, get assassinated by these three men, who all bore the mark of a crow on them in different parts of their body. And so that's the only thing she can remember about these guys. And then basically she grew up sold into bondage.
Me too, Potato Penguin.
You're so confused. I know, but I mean, it's a JRPG. If you're not confused, then you're not having a good time. That's all I'm saying. Basically, she was sold into bondage. and and she has to dance
Bottom
her way
line,
out.
She's a slave.
She's a slave. She's like Princess Leia in essentially actually in Star Wars Episode 6, and she's sold into bondage, has her dance her way out. She finally builds up enough courage to plan her attack. She sees one of the guys who bears the mark of the crow, and she's going in for the kill, and that's the end of the demo there. But I spent like 2 hours playing this demo. I had a blast. I cannot wait for the game. Super excited. And so I played that. I played Tekken 7. I feel like I'm getting a lot better at that game. I played E-Man, who might be in the chat, who knows. Thank you so much for playing with me for like 4 hours on stream. It was a really good time. I've not played that much Tekken in a long time. He's just saying random things to confuse us. Yes, that is what I try to do the most, mostly because when I talk, it's just a stream of consciousness. But the other thing that I saw that maybe Yvonne can... this is how our podcasts go, but thanks for following me. The other thing, well, only when I talk. The other thing that I saw, which was probably more interesting, was The Problem with Apu, a documentary that is on True TV, I believe. But you can watch it free online. It's about 49 minutes. Mm-hmm. And this, I should figure out the name that I will probably butcher. With Apu, Hari, what's his name? Hari Kondabalu. I can't pronounce his last name, but he's a famous Indian or South. Yeah, he's Indian. He's a comedian. He's also an actor, and he is. I mean, he's fairly well known. I would say, in terms of, well, when you think of Indian actors, he's well known because that's the whole point of this movie. The whole point, or it's a documentary, really. The whole point is that he's sort of had this grudge of the character Apu from The Simpsons for his entire life, because Apu has pretty much been the only representation of a Southeast Asian person in American culture for the entire duration of like the 90s, essentially. Yeah, otherwise, you would get your standard, I don't know, pretty much stereotypical Indian person who pretty much drew their voice from Hank Azaria's portrayal of Apu. And the problem really that he had with this character is that Hank Azaria is voicing him, who is a white man, who came up with his voice based off of various stereotypes that he thought of, based off of Apu being the Quickie Mart salesman. So he goes into a bunch of the problems. Basically, his whole quest is to have an interview with Hank Azaria in this documentary, and he sort of goes through his trials and tribulations with that. And of course, I guess I'll spoil it, he doesn't get to interview Hank Azaria in this movie, which is really unfortunate. But he gets to interview, he talks a lot with various other famous Indian actors right now, or South Asian actors such as Aziz Ansari, who's very popular now. I guess not so much anymore because of his allegations of sexual misconduct. But yeah, there are a lot of different people that a lot of people know in the movie. but I guess the sort of joke now is there's only like 14 of them now that in popular culture. I suggest it's worth a watch. And I was really interested in the movie. I mean, I don't have that sort of lived experience of being an Indian person in America. But I know the movie goes into a lot where about how they were a lot of Indian children growing up in the 90s were bullied and things like that and made fun of because of Apu. And that's really where the grudge comes from that Hari has. And that's why he made this movie, actually, I think.
It's an interesting premise. I mean, having just talked about Russian portrayals in media
right.
for a long time, in regards to the death of Stalin, it is kind of not something that is the same, I don't think, for a lot, because the difference between Indian and like Russian is that Russian or white people, you'd have to speak or something to be able to know that I was Russian, right? Because I don't have a Russian accent, etc. But with race or other like signifying things like being a woman, there are different. Those stereotypes are much easier to apply with just looking at a person. So it could be part of it that's way more difficult to handle. But I don't think that Apu is the basis for a lot of people's stereotypes.
I mean, I haven't
seen the
I didn't
documentary, so
I didn't do it
justice.
justice.
Present it that way.
Yeah, I didn't do it justice. His argument, I think, is obviously much more fleshed out. It's about an hour long, so I suggest you watch it. I think it's worth a watch. And then maybe we can talk about it more. You probably have more poignant points to make about it. But I did enjoy it. I feel like it was some of the things that he was saying are valid. A lot of the backlash that he got is saying that is that the Simpsons they make fun of everyone. So why are you hating on just Apu? But I think it's really the crux of his argument is that all of Indian portrayal is based off of Apu, and that's essentially the most famous and the only thing that's the only way Indian people have ever been portrayed in movies and television and things like that. If you go back and look at the history of Hollywood and things like that, I guess. And that's what he was saying. I haven't watched every movie ever, so I don't know. But yeah, so that's what he was saying. I thought it was interesting, and I think it was an interesting point of view to bring up, and that's about it.
Yeah, I think I'll have to check that out. I think there are a lot more portrayals of Indian and Southeast Asian people that you have now. I mean, from Mindy Kaling, the Mindy Project.
Oh yeah, and Aziz Ansari and
Aziz Ansari's, and so I think that there are more now. So it's a weird issue to raise now, but maybe it's one that needs to be addressed. But it's that weird.
Well,
it's that weird thing of like politically incorrect now was okay back when The Simpsons started. The Simpsons have been going for 29, almost 30 years.
Right, and that was exactly, and a lot of people would talk to him on Twitter and say, "Hey, I'm Indian and I love Apu. Why are you saying these things?" And things like that. And but now you're right. There's a lot of, but realistically, there's like a handful of Indian people, and Southeast Asian people that are in the mainstream. Right? There's
more, but not a lot.
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing I guess he's saying. But but yeah. Whatever. I don't know. I'm not Indian, so I don't have these problems, I suppose. But
yeah, I'll want to check out this documentary. Mm-hmm. And while we're transitioning into the rest of the show, because this is basically what we've done this week, right?
Yeah, that's it for me. I don't know.
We can address Potato Pineapple Penguin's question
of
why we are Hungover Gaming just briefly as a segue. We are Hungover Gaming. That is both Jujubee's Good, Julien,
Yeah, that's
and
me.
Comrade Boyar, Ivan. We have a YouTube channel in which we do this podcast. We have a Wednesday esports / Overwatch show, and on Fridays we do Let's Plays, which generally heavily feature the consumption of alcohol
Yes.
or something like that. So we do a lot of drunk plays. Usually our podcast is a bit more sober, but we do tend to record it the night after we do a drunk play, so it does happen often that we are hungover. In any case, that's the origin of that.
Yeah. And also you're wearing a PBR shirt. I mean, come on.
Yes, I am wearing my PBR shirt.
We could try talking about The Last of Us 2 if we needed a topic. We can talk about that a little bit. Perhaps later, Divine Hailstorm. I don't know if there's been any news about it, but Ivan, I know you haven't played the first Last of Us, even though you have the game.
I do have the game.
Jackass. God damn it. It's such a great game. But I feel like we should wait until Ivan at least plays The Last of Us first before we talk about The Last of Us 2. I think, You know what? I think we should do a Let's Play where you play through the entire game. There is a trailer for it. I don't know if you... I hear it's very violent and unnecessarily violent. And also, it portrays... it portrays the... Thank you for subscribing or subscribing in the future, Potato Pineapple. That would be really awesome for you. For you and for us. Mostly for us. I think. No, it's going to be awesome for you. We put up 3 videos a week, so I hope you enjoy. Thank you very much. But yeah, so Ivan hasn't played The Last of Us, but I hope that in the future, when we figure out when The Last of Us is coming out, I think we'll try to do a series where Ivan plays through The Last of Us, because he has the game.
That's true. Mm-hmm. And it'll be part of Ivan's first plays, which we haven't done in quite some time now.
Look, we have so many ideas. We just don't have the time. I'm sorry, guys.
And then we when it comes down to the days of recording, we're like, okay, which of these ideas do we want to do? None of them sound good.
Let's just play
Do you
PUBG.
just want to play Overwatch?
God damn it. Oh, God.
Yeah, that's essentially our recording platform. But you know what other game had a second game that came out and had a lot of controversy that surrounded it?
What is
Battlefront.
Star Wars Battlefront 2, the latest EA blockbuster, came out last year in 2017 to mild backlash. That's not true.
It's a pretty strong backlash.
I know, I'm kidding.
It was immense.
It was
so much so that they deconstructed their in-game currency microtransactions.
And pretty much started this whole controversy over loot boxes and microtransactions in video games. They essentially tied a bunch of in-game progression towards your character in the game behind loot boxes and microtransactions. So people with money, or that were willing to spend millions of dollars, and by that I mean hundreds of dollars, on the game, could very easily get to the point where they could have a significant advantage over others in multiplayer combat, which is really horrible.
And other than that, unlocking just the basic steps would be ridiculously difficult and time-consuming for anybody who just wanted to play it as a normal person. So going beyond just the people who are going to spend like hundreds of dollars on a game will be better than people who just buy the regular game and don't put in any money. But even being able to unlock or play with your favorite heroes would take so much time or so much money that it's not worth the purchase of the game.
And
so
and this is coming off of the success from Star Wars Battlefront 1, which also had very significant backlash towards its season pass, which was $50.
And I never bought because I wasn't positive about it.
Right. $50 to get the rest of the game, essentially. So you end up, if you wanted to play the whole game, then you would have to... thank you, DeadMK45, for following me. Thank you very much. But yes, so if you wanted to play the whole game, you would end up having to spend $110 to play the whole entirety of Battlefront 1. But yeah, that is, so essentially what we're talking about here is that they've decided to, or you know what, they announced that they were going to put them back in eventually. So now they've decided to actually enact that. So they're putting back microtransactions in the form of, I guess, the virtual currency, which I believe is some sort of crystal. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
and it's mostly to do skins and such. So they totally revamped the player progression system, and it's basically a whole new game.
Yes.
It was a 4 gig update patch.
Holy shit, that is
so it was
update.
Pretty intense, as reported by Polygon. Again, neither of us have this game because we bought Battlefront. Julien bought the season pass.
Yeah,
because he's ridiculous.
Look,
but we bought
I wanted
Battlefront.
To see it all.
We had a good time playing it.
Yeah.
It didn't feel...
We played it,
it didn't...
about 30 hours, 40 hours. It was a lot of... I had fun.
It was fun. It wasn't probably a $60 purchase.
Yeah.
It was fun. I also can't pilot anything that flies, so
that was
half the game was locked to me.
The graphics were great.
Yeah. But I definitely wanted to, but held off from Star Wars Battlefront 2 because I heard about all of this stuff. And so I think that having all this stuff when it's a humble bundle or something really cheap, maybe I might consider
better
purchasing.
Yet, should buy it used, so EA gets no money. Yeah, I've decided to protest this game until they figure their shit out with microtransactions and things like that. But it seems like they've decided to rework their whole approach to microtransactions, but only because of fan feedback and backlash. So thank you so much.
Finally, something on the internet did something.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much for stopping by, Potato Pineapple. We stream this every single Sunday, hopefully. But of course, we put it up on YouTube for your viewing pleasure later. But yeah, so exactly. So only, that's the weird thing. So what? Only because of negative responses to fans are they going to change their ways. So is EA a little bitch, one, is or are they the worst company ever is the question. Not the worst
Definitely
company
not
ever.
the worst company ever. I would say that there are things that support child slavery, the pollution of the earth, the selling of diamonds through military conflict.
Blood diamonds.
Yeah, so I would say that any company that deals with precious minerals in third world countries probably worse than EA. But you're right, EA is the worst company ever.
Yeah, so the whole thing is I can't really choose to support in terms of video games. I know this is all a first world problem. Whatever.
Listen, we're a gaming channel. It's okay.
Yeah.
We can talk about games
really
as if it is critical to life.
I don't want to support them in their because they've already showed their hand. They've already showed their malicious intent, and I will not buy this game. I don't care if it's used or if it's $10. I just can't. I can't get into it. They're insane to think that they could get away with this. Is really, and I'm really glad that complaining on the internet actually led to something good for, I guess, the consumers of a product for once.
Well,
but yeah.
So the thing is, like, so it was like they rolled this out, then they immediately had like that price slash.
Yeah.
And then they had to roll it back even further. So the real conspiracy theory is they just tried to grab as much money as they could while they had it at the highest price, knowing that they'd have to roll it back to that lower price anyway.
Right, exactly.
But then there was such strong outlash, strike back, whatever, the Empire Returns, from that rollback, and still the high prices and in-game time to unlock favorite characters like Darth Vader.
Right.
It was it was even too strong for them to continue in that light. So they had to restrict that even further. So the real thing that I'm questioning is that if the power of the internet is so strong in order to change this, like, then what will the ability of internet outlash be for the future of gaming? So the internet has been always, like, the mass audience has always been against microtransactions, but they're here to stay.
Yeah.
So are we able to shape them into a more equitable form where it benefits both the audience and the game players and the companies equally?
It seems like that's where it's going. So it seems like the general consensus now is that if loot boxes are bad, but having a piecemeal a la carte market where you get to buy the costume that you want that's only cosmetic is all right. It seems to me that that's the general consensus amongst most gamers that voice their opinion on Twitter, which are, who knows?
Which is the majority of all people.
Clearly the majority of gamers. So it seems to me that that's the general consensus. And I can, if it's necessary that we need microtransactions, which I'm still not entirely convinced. I think maybe they can restructure where the money goes, and we wouldn't need microtransactions. I'm sure the CEOs of EA and I'm going to make the assumption that the CEOs of EA and Ubisoft and large publishing companies like that are making the majority of the money from video game sales and that money is not going towards keeping servers live and doing quality services for the gamers, the consumers of the product, and paying developers and things like that. I'm assuming the majority of the money is being made by the people in charge of the publishing company. But that's just because that's my portrayal. That's how I think that most
that's your presumptive model
of most companies in a capitalist society, right?
Yeah. And that's probably a fair assumption, although I have to say that it probably cost EA quite a penny to have that Star Wars franchising license. So it could be to go pay back that debt too.
But I mean, okay, yeah, you're right. So I mean, but do they? I don't know but do they need to? It seemed like they were trying to make more money than they needed.
What a question, or what a statement to say.
More money than they needed to run this server, that they're so in debt that they can't run this server. That's what I'm questioning. You're so in debt.
We can't run our servers.
We can't run our servers.
Our server farms in Utah are too much money. We need to charge you for the Ewok skins.
Exactly.
And playing as Darth Vader and Boba Fett.
Oh my god. Yeah,
man, EA.
That's what, I mean, I don't know the financial situation EA's in, but I'm sure they're doing all right. All right? That's all I'm saying.
They're probably doing pretty well. I would say that I think it's a good step forward that EA listened and changed up the system, and good on DICE for being able to stick with it and implement as many of the changes as they need to conform to EA. And it's such a difficult question.
Did EA make your favorite game, or did a developer make your favorite game? You need to separate the two. But the
developer wouldn't have been able to make that game without EA as the publishing house.
Is that true? Could they have found funding somewhere else? I don't know. There's a lot of indie games out there now. Maybe back then. Maybe back in the early 2000s. I don't know which game it is. Divine Hellstorm, tell us in the comment section in the chat. But yeah, so I mean, it depends on the game, obviously. But I know EA is funding a lot of great games out there. I mean, Mass Effect 1 through 3 were pretty good games. I like those games.
Mass Effect 1 and 2 were good games.
Yeah, Mass
Effect 3 was okay. Mass Effect 2 was one of my favorite games of all time. And it's definitely in my top 5.
Exactly.
But the other thing, so companies responding to the public outcry is Dragon Age Origins.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. BioWare is a cool developer, and they're owned by EA funds a lot of their games, if not all their games. I don't know if they're owned by EA, but
I love the Dragon Age franchise, actually.
What were you saying, Ivan? I'm sorry.
So, like, public outcry, right? So we love Overwatch. An Overwatch League is a very in-your-face kind of esports thing. So it is the premier thing that Blizzard as a company is pushing at the moment in time. So like StarCraft and StarCraft 2 have their baked-in kind of Korean whatever, but Overwatch League is supposed to be this global franchise leading the way. And what we've seen from Blizzard is that a lot of the time the public outcry is the reason that they go through different steps. So like EQO's punishment, Tyrong's punishments, XQC's punishments, a lot of those, the way that they came through seemed to be in response to the public outcry that came to it. So for instance, it's interesting to me that Sado, who is on the Philadelphia Fusion, was punished for 30 games for being part of a Korean account boosting company.
Yeah.
But OGE was suspended for 4 games or something like that before he was able to play.
Okay. Yeah, this is true.
And there are different levels of punishments for, like, EQO made a racial gesture. Blizzard didn't do anything, I don't think, but internally he was punished by the Philadelphia Fusion organization. Unless he was fined. So he was fined $1,000. But so, like, yeah. XQC was charged with a racially motivated emote, and then was basically, that led to him being kicked out of the league, essentially, parting from the league, because he got a $2,000 fine and suspension. It seems that a lot of the things are they're not. It doesn't necessarily seem like there is an even-handed basis for handing out punishments for when players violate codes of conduct. It does seem like it is in response to public outcry. And the same thing felt like people wanted changes to Hansa or Sombra, they highlight this public outcry, or people want to avoid his teammate or something like that, and they respond. So some of them are like positive responses, but some of them are like very muddled responses. So there is a lot of benefit and negativity, or like negative consequences for this public outcry piece, even in like an organization like Blizzard, which everybody I think feels that Blizzard is a pretty good developer and publisher.
Yeah, right, exactly. Even though I think Blizzard sort of started, they didn't start the loot box craze, but they were certainly part of it. If you look at the amount of games in which there were loot boxes before Overwatch, it was just a handful over the course of maybe 5 to 10 years. But if you look at the amount of video games after Overwatch that had loot boxes in them, in the span of 2 years, which Overwatch has been out, there's been way more. So I think,
and they diluted the loot boxes too.
Right, exactly.
Originally, they were actually they weren't terribly fair, but they were pretty fair. Yeah. And then they were like, we'll throw in every voice line conceivable.
That you couldn't care less about. Yeah, totally.
And sprays, 100 different sprays that nobody really gives a shit about unless you're a Korean player in the Overwatch League.
Who can fit in a spray halfway while getting a headshot. Yeah, you're fine.
Exactly.
But yeah, so look, I don't want microtransactions in video games, but if it is really necessary to keep the game servers running, and you keep this out of and you don't prey on people that have addictive tendencies, which I think is really the real problem behind this. It's
or
really
creating addictive tendencies, in that
exactly.
that positive reinforcement loop.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't do that, and you still want to have your microtransactions, and it's not super invasive towards gameplay, then okay, fine. You can go for it. Look, I'm not going to complain about it. And it's not like my opinion really matters that much to begin with. But yeah, so that's my opinion on microtransactions. I prefer not to have them, but if it's necessary, go for it, I guess. As long as I can still play the game at the price of admission.
You know what else is a positive reinforcement loop that I think
What?
we both object to and is based off of this kind of free-to-play but with microtransaction stuff? Fortnite.
Fortnite. The most popular game under the sun. Your favorite celebrities are playing this game. Shouldn't you also play this game? I don't know.
Yeah, I hate this game. This game sucks. It is not good.
And you see it every day because you're a substitute teacher currently, or you're taking up some substitute teaching jobs right now. And
these kids are all playing Fortnite or PUBG on their phones. Although, actually, I've seen a lot of 50-50 splits between PUBG and Fortnite.
Thank God.
On the mobile platform.
Just play PUBG, kids. God damn it.
It doesn't really matter when you're in class, be in class, pay attention to what you're supposed to be doing. Fucking A. But I think, Fortnite is a game that also has... It's free to play, but they make their bankroll off of early access microtransactions. But I also think that it's one of these games that has this positive reinforcement loop because it's very simple to get right back into a match after you've finished a match. There's not like some careful planning to matchmaking. It's just dump as many people as quickly as you can into a match over and over and over again. And it creates this really simple feedback loop that I don't think is necessarily positive for the overall engagement of people in the world.
So
especially with the expansion to the mobile platform.
Attention, stamina.
Yo, kids can't pay attention in class to a movie.
That's because it's not Fortnite. Come on.
Literally, all we have to do in
if
this
they make
class
a Fortnite
watch a movie, and they're like, we can't watch this drama because it's not action filled.
God damn it.
I asked them why they were all on their phones, and they're like, it doesn't grab us, sir.
I was so excited anytime we watched a movie in class. That would just make my day. Damn kids don't know what they got.
I know.
Damn kids.
It's because movies are just available on your phone, or like video games are just available on the phone. And I think that especially the mobile version of these Battle Royale games where it's so simple to get right back into the game, you're so distracted from everything else. I think it's creating the wrong reinforcement of actions and tendencies, especially in kids.
So simultaneously, while Fortnite is the worst game ever, it's also a very interesting game in that is totally pushing the video game industry forward, which I applaud them for. So they're making a game that has cross progression in one account over console, PC, and mobile. And it has crossplay between all of those. Did you know that? You could play on your phone against someone who's playing on PC with someone against someone who's playing on PC. I think that's really cool, and I think that's something that more video game developers should invest money into in their multiplayer games specifically, obviously, because I can't think of a game besides Rocket League that really had any sort of cross-play elements in it that were substantial. So I definitely gotta applaud Epic Games. Look, I think Epic Games is they're a good video game studio developer that is making a product that's really polished and works. If you play PUBG, there are a lot of stupid glitches, and there are a lot of things that don't work in that game. I know it's in early access, but it's been in early access for fucking 2 years now. So they need to get their shit together, and their game is $30. So I completely understand why Fortnite is popular, because it's free to play and it works, and it looks good too. I think it looks like the graphics are pretty.
It looks fine.
Yeah, I don't think
This
it's
stupid game. I hate this
I
game
hate
so
it.
much.
I don't want to play it, but if it makes the kids happy, and the problem I agree with what you're saying is that it's totally ruining attention span and also ruining the classroom. But if you can separate those two, then go ahead, play your games. But kids can't separate it because they're kids, and they gotta have that Fortnite fill. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I really, really do.
Goddamn kids. Well, Vaughn, we've talked for about an hour. I don't really know what about, but I think we had a good time. I don't know about you. I had a good time.
I think we had a through. My through line was gaming studios interacting with public audiences,
Yes.
and then feedback loops.
I think
That was my through line. I was
And-
navigating it.
And I think video game publishers are willing to be more transparent with, for better or for worse, with what their intentions are and things like that, and how they're going about developing the game. I think as gamers, we really just want the whole story of what's going on in your game. Why is it being delayed? What features are you putting in? Why are you putting them in there? Do you care about what we say? I don't know. And really, I think a lot of developers are making an effort to have a better social media department so they can interact with their audience better, which is pretty awesome. Divine Hailstorm, am I gonna stream any Tekken later tonight? I will probably not. I will try to stream Tekken next weekend, because I think Yakuza comes out on Tuesday, and then on Friday God of War comes out. So I will be playing those games in the future.
You've got so many games to play
I've got
this
too
week.
many fucking games to play. Who has time to play Tekken? No, I should try to play more Tekken. But I'll be streaming that on Saturday next week, Divine Hailstorm. But yeah, or maybe we can stream some on Tuesday. I don't stream tonight, all right? Ivan gets to stream tonight. He's going to have an awesome stream. What are you going to be streaming tonight, Ivan? Have you decided yet?
I want to get plat. So
all right,
bad.
we're going to be playing Overwatch tonight. It's going to happen. You asked for it, Divine Hailstorm. You're going to totally ask for it. You're going to get it. But I hope video game developers talk to me more and tell me what's going on. It's honestly, being silent is a bad thing nowadays for video game developers. They can't go a second without fucking talking to these damn kids. Anyways,
Get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn. Anyways, we end our podcast every single week in a song in a segment called Hungover Radio. This is where you, the listener or viewer, can send in your music. If you write a song, played a song, put an instrument on a song, maybe your friends played a song. It's free advertisement for you. We put it in the end of the audio portion of the podcast, but not on Twitch, unfortunately, because I can't figure out how to do that. Or maybe I can. I don't know. I'll got to work on that. But today we're going to be playing Project Octopath Traveler, working title, behind the music, Nintendo Switch. That is the title of the video, but it's the main theme to Project Octopath Traveler, which I have been playing a shit ton of. I'm really excited for this game, and I hope you guys enjoy the song. Until next week, I'm Julien.
I'm Ivan. Thank you so much. Bye.
See ya.